Shaunie O'Neal was always the one calling the shots. She was the boss, the mastermind behind her success. From creating hit shows like Basketball Wives to navigating the public spotlight as Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife, she knew how to stay strong under pressure. She had built a name, a brand, and a legacy by staying sharp and always being one step ahead. But everything started to shift when she married Pastor Keion Henderson. The change wasn't sudden. It didn't come with fireworks or headlines. It was slow, almost invisible. Tiny, quiet changes that crept in little by little and began rewriting her story. On the outside, they seemed like the perfect couple. She was a successful businesswoman and mother of 5. He was a powerful preacher with millions of online followers. Their wedding was picture perfect, with ocean views and even a VH1 special. It looked like the kind of love that brings peace. But perfect-looking things often hide the most cracks. At first, Shaunie thought she had finally found her calm. After years of public drama and scrutiny, she felt ready for something meaningful, something built on faith and purpose. And for a while, it felt like she had it. She was smiling in photos, posting scripture-filled captions, showing up at events with grace. But slowly, something inside her felt off. She didn't vanish overnight. She still showed up, dressed well, standing beside her husband, smiling like everything was fine. But the version of her that fans knew, the outspoken, funny, real Shaunie, started to fade. Her posts felt more filtered, less like her. Her captions sounded more like church notes than her own thoughts. The shine she once had was being replaced by silence. Most people assumed she was just adjusting to her new role. Being the first lady of a church comes with expectations. It's a title that carries weight. You're supposed to be graceful, wise, supportive, and perfect. But that was the problem. Shaunie wasn't meant to be anyone's symbol of perfection. She wasn't built for fake smiles and pretending. But that's exactly what the role started to demand. She felt herself shrinking. Not because her husband asked her to, but because of the pressure that came with the position. Being married to a pastor didn't just make her a wife, it made her an example, a symbol, someone people looked up to as a sign of God's blessings. And while that sounds beautiful on the surface, in reality, it meant sacrificing pieces of herself just to maintain the image. For a woman who had spent her life building independence and strength, that kind of sacrifice cut deep. She tried to keep it all together for the church, for her marriage, for the life they had promised to build together. But love, even godly love, can't survive on appearances. It needs truth. And the truth was, Shaunie was pouring from an empty cup. What made it worse was how invisible she started to feel, not just to fans, but to the man she married. Keion loved her, but he loved a version of her that fit into his vision. That version wasn't the whole Shaunie. And even though nobody said it out loud, that silent difference started to pull her away from herself. Was this peace? Or was it quiet pain? Was she really his partner, or was she performing again? There wasn't one big moment that broke her. No scandal, no argument. Just a quiet conversation with a close friend. She was sitting in a hoodie, makeup off, hair wrapped, just being herself. Her friend asked, "Are you happy?" And for the first time, Shaunie didn't have an answer. She just paused. And that pause said everything. It wasn't that she didn't love Keion, she did. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she had turned down the volume on her own soul just to make everything else look perfect. She was running on empty, doing everything she was supposed to do, but losing herself in the process. She began journaling again, something she hadn't done since her divorce from Shaq. Late at night, between church events and business meetings, she would write out what she really felt. She wrote about how invisible she felt in rooms where people only talked about her husband. How she smiled through events even when her heart was aching. How the very life that was supposed to bring her healing had become another place where she couldn't breathe. One journal entry hit her hard. It read, "I used to walk into a room and know exactly who I was. Now, I walk in and wonder who they need me to be." That sentence broke something open inside her. It wasn't just about marriage. It was about identity. People around her kept asking about babies, businesses, and ministry plans. But no one asked her what she needed. And truthfully, she didn't even know the answer anymore. When you've built your life on being strong, it's hard to admit when you feel weak. When you've made a name for being unbothered, it's terrifying to say, I'm actually not okay. There was one church event, a women's conference, where everything shifted. Shaunie was invited to speak. Everyone expected the usual message about faith and strong marriages. But she stood on stage and paused. Then she said, sometimes God's plan comes wrapped in pressure, and we don't realize we're being crushed until we're already broken. The room went still. Some people cried. Others clapped. It was raw. Honest. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't performing. She was telling the truth. That night didn't make headlines, but it changed her inside. She knew she couldn't keep living in silence. She couldn't keep pretending everything was fine while slowly falling apart. And she definitely couldn't keep loving someone if it meant losing herself. This wasn't about blame. She didn't see Keion as the villain. He hadn't hurt her in obvious ways. But he hadn't really seen her either. He loved the image, the version of her that supported his calling. But he missed the loneliness in her silence. That's what hurt the most, not the lack of love, but the lack of awareness. Shaunie did what she could. She tried therapy, she journaled, she prayed. She hoped something would give her clarity. And in a quiet moment, it did. A simple truth came to her: you don't have to disappear to be loved. She didn't walk away from the marriage. But she stepped away from the performance. She stopped trying to be the perfect wife and started being the real Shaunie again. She said no to things that drained her. She stopped showing up just to meet expectations. And piece by piece, she started to feel like herself again. Her smile came back, not the posed one, but the real one. Her laughter felt natural again. She started creating not for approval, but for joy. People noticed the difference. Keion stayed silent publicly, but maybe he was reflecting too. What happens next? No one knows for sure. But what's clear is this: Shaunie is no longer waiting for someone else to define her happiness. She's rewriting her story on her own terms. Not as someone's symbol of peace, but as her own person. And this time, she's not disappearing for anyone. She's finally choosing herself. So, what can we learn from Shaunie O'Neal's journey? She wasn't broken. She wasn't lost. She was just buried under titles, roles, expectations, and the pressure to look like she had it all together. And that's something so many people, especially women, go through in silence. This wasn't a story about scandal or failure. It was about quiet realization. About waking up and realizing you've been performing a version of yourself just to meet other people's needs, while your own voice, your own joy, your own dreams slowly fade into the background. Shaunie didn't explode. She didn't make a dramatic exit or throw blame. She took a breath. She got honest. And she decided to stop pretending. Not because she didn't love her life, her husband, or her faith, but because she realized none of it meant anything if she wasn't fully present in it. Not the version people expected. The real her. The powerful part? She did it without waiting for permission. She didn't need a trending moment or a headline to say, "I'm choosing me." She did it quietly, intentionally, and on her own terms. And sometimes, that's the loudest kind of courage. When she said, "I became his answered prayer, but I stopped being mine," it hit deep. Because how many of us do that? We show up for everyone else, partners, family, the spotlight, but forget to show up for ourselves. Shaunie's story isn't just about relationships. It's about identity. It's about finding the strength to take the mask off, to stop performing peace, and start living in truth. And the truth is, real peace doesn't come from looking perfect. It comes from being honest. It comes from being whole. It comes from knowing who you are when no one's watching. So, if you've ever felt like you're disappearing in your own life, if you've been smiling on the outside while feeling invisible on the inside, take a page from Shaunie's book. You don't have to leave everything behind. But you do have to stop leaving yourself behind. Start showing up for the version of you that's been waiting to breathe. This isn't the end of Shaunie's story, it's a new chapter. One where she's not just the boss, the wife, or the brand. She's a woman who reclaimed her voice. And that, more than anything, is what makes her powerful. If you felt this message, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And remember, your peace matters. Your truth matters. And you never have to disappear to be loved. If you liked this breakdown, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story. Celeb Nova will have it all covered for you. So, if you've ever felt like you're disappearing in your own life, if you've been smiling on the outside while feeling invisible on the inside, take a page from Shaunie's book. You don't have to leave everything behind. But you do have to stop leaving yourself behind. Start showing up for the version of you that's been waiting to breathe. This isn't the end of Shaunie's story, it's a new chapter. One where she's not just the boss, the wife, or the brand. She's a woman who reclaimed her voice. And that, more than anything, is what makes her powerful. If you felt this message, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And remember, your peace matters. Your truth matters. And you never have to disappear to be loved. If you liked this breakdown, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story. Celeb Nova will have it all covered for you. Thanks for watching, fam. Stay real, stay respectful in the comments. See y'all in the next video. This is Celeb Nova, where the drama ends and the truth begins.